The chain is the same, but the amounts that each part moves to move the next part is significantly different from person to person.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. I was going through some of the stuff from my trip out to see Mike Malaska, and I realized that when I brought all that footage home from Arizona, it actually killed my old Mac. Well, yeah, it did. It killed the hard drive of my old Mac. So I lost some of the footage that was out there, a very little bit. So what you're about to see is I did have the GoPro running, and we had the audio going. So it's just not as produced, and you don't get to see down the line. So enjoy for what it's worth, because I think it's still a really good conversation with Mike about the Malaska move. Check it out, hit subscribe, enjoy this video, and I'll see you at the end.
Let's talk about, because we were talking about the Malaska move or whatever.
Yeah, and a lot of people pulling it with that.
Okay,
yeah.
so what starts the club down? So when you get to the top and you start down, it's not your arms don't start down. What actually starts down is you get to the top, and I'm at the top of my swing. Actually, it happens before I get to the top. The change of directions of my lower body moves my hips slightly forward and slightly lateral, which tilts my upper body back slightly, which tilts my shoulders, which starts my arms. So your shoulders actually start your arms, and then they slow down and your arms take off. So in the transition, when you're making the transition, my arms, nothing's happening. My body is making the club go. So it's starting my arms, and then my arms take off. Where you get in trouble is when people start with their body and they just keep going, and they don't start and then let the club accelerate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've heard of like the arm kind of at this point blasts off the chest.
It does.
Yeah.
It has to, or you can't create any speed. Mm-hmm. So when somebody says you put your arm against your chest and you just hold it there and turn through, even the people that feel like they're doing that aren't doing that. Because if I did, I couldn't hit it anywhere.
Yeah. Because
your arms have to go and accelerate and go faster than your body's going.
Yeah.
But the transition is not arms down. This isn't the transition. Once I get to the top, my lower body changes directions. When my lower body changes directions, it tilts my spine, which tilts my shoulders, which starts my arms. So you have to learn how to make that first transition move that starts your arms in the right arc. If it goes like this,
right,
you know, then you're going to have some compensating move. So if I'm going to make this move to start, I'm going to have some compensating move with the club to offset what this is doing. Mm-hmm. Is that right or wrong? It's a compensating move. Go ahead and try it.
Yeah, right.
If you think it's better and you seem to have more success with it,
yeah,
freaking go with it.
But if somebody is seeing, and one of our viewers was asking, and he said he has more of like a football build,
yeah,
heavy up top, not much on the bottom, and he's seeing this a lot, and it's just turning out, and it's just everything's very connected and stiff.
Yeah.
So if somebody, is that something to do in slow motion, get that feeling? Like I know.
Yeah. And here's the thing about kinesthetic sequence or kinematic sequence. Almost everybody, unless they're really off, has the same sequence. It goes feet, knees, hips, shoulders, arms. So it comes from the ground up. Mm-hmm. Here's the difference. Based on my flexibility and who I am physically, all you're doing is you're passing rotational force off from one segment to the other segment to the other segment to the other segment. Now, if I'm really flexible in my pelvis and hips and rotation in here, I'm going to have quite a bit of rotation in that area before it finally engages my mid-thoracic back, which will then make my shoulders go.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm really tight in this area,
yeah,
it's not going to take much hip rotation to engage my mid-thoracic back to make my shoulders go.
So you'll see it, just a tiny bit of hip rotation will look like a lot of like top spin.
Yeah. So based on the individual person, the kinematic sequence is going to be different because of their mobility and flexibilities. But you want everybody to do the same chain, but the difference, the whole thing about, well, if you get these to be bigger and bigger, you'll be better and better. No, that's all a function of how mobile somebody is. The chain is the same, but the amounts that each part moves to move the next part is significantly different from person to person.
So whereas like a 17-year-old like Star Junior, he might have to feel a lot of this because he's got so fluid.
That's right.
And whereas like a 75-year-old you know, stiff, like heavier guy might have to feel only just a little bit because that's all he needs.
Yeah, because as soon as it engages his mid-back and it starts to go, that's all you need.
Yep.
That's why you see tour players with different levels of rotation, differences between separation between their hips and shoulders.
Yep.
You had a Tom Lehman, you had a Jack Nicklaus, you had all these guys who had not a lot of separation who hit it a long ways. Well, but they didn't have the flexibility that they didn't need to have that much rotation to make that force go up through their bodies.
Could you show us on Brendan as an example? How much rotation he's got?
Well, we'd have to do exercises.
Well,
so.
I mean, just with his, how much rotation he needs to get his.
Well, I've always thought of myself as like a flexible person, Mike. The TPI and everything else shows me as pretty flexible, although in this kind of rotation, external hip rotation, I'm a desk job person, so it's kind of tight.
Yeah.
But I'm real flexible in other ways.
Yeah, so you're flexible external, but their internal rotation, your hips a little less.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but what we're talking about is, see, you can, if you crossed your arms across your shoulders like that, and then you leave your shoulders there, now turn your hips as far as you can and don't move your shoulders, okay, and then go the other way. Okay, see, you've got quite a bit of, so when you turn, now go ahead and start at neutral, now turn through, it's real slow, start turning. No.
Oh, through the ball?
Through the ball, start to turn really slow. When do you feel, at what point in time do you feel that it engages your mid-back?
Really right about there, quite a bit.
Okay, so you're quite a bit, so see, you have to get quite a bit of rotation.
This feeling is going to be quite a lot.
You're going to have more than I'm going to have.
Yeah.
Because I don't, I mean, I've got a hurt back, so I do the same things you do, but for me to pass off that force from one segment to the other, I don't need as much rotation because I'm a lot tighter from that type of rotation. So my deal with this whole thing is, okay, kinematic sequence is correct, but we're all individuals relative to mobility, strength, and flexibility. So how do you determine how much an individual person needs? And to say that the bigger the separation, the better you're going to be is a bit of a fallacy.
Yeah.
Because that assumes a level of physical competency that 99.9% of people absolutely do not have. And if they go after that, and they don't have the flexibility and the mobility to do it, two things are going to happen. Game's probably going to suffer because they're going to add a lot of tension, and they're probably going to get hurt doing it because they're forcing their body to do something that their body can't do. And that's where I've spent my whole career. It's not about what works and what doesn't. It's what can somebody actually do. What's really important. Now, if you want to create maximum speed and force, I can show you how to do that. If you want to be a long drive guy, I can show you how to do that.
Yeah.
But when you go there, now it's a different type of swing for a different reason. Now you're not playing golf, you're trying to create maximum speed. Well, you're going to set yourself up for some injuries and some massive inconsistency because there it's not about being consistent. It's about creating maximum speed 1 out of 10 times and get it in the grid.
Yeah.
Well, good luck playing golf on a tight golf course on a windy day with that concept. Because you're going to shoot a million because you're going to hit 1 or 2 good shots, but the rest of them that you miss, you're missing the golf course. So another thing that's happened with our game, because, and I love it, the long drive guys, that is a separate skill and sport. That's not play golf. And people need to understand that. Those guys and those gals are doing it for a different reason. They're creating forces to do one thing, make the ball go as far as they can make it go off a tee.
Yeah, in the semifinals this year of the World Long Drive Championship, I think we had 2 guys just go do an offer. No balls in the grid. Yeah, so 6 balls, none of them are in the grid.
Okay.
And
so go play golf and have 6 balls miss the golf course.
Yeah. So I've talked to some of them, and they said, well, listen, if I try to bunt it and just make sure it hits the grid, I'm going to lose anyway. So you just got to go all the way for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a different game.
Yeah.
Long drive is a different sport than playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
It should be a whole different discipline. It's a whole different sport. It's a whole different body mechanics and motion relative to creating maximum speed and force to hit a golf ball or to make a club go as fast as you can make it go. Okay, that's one thing. But if you say, I want to play golf, I want to be consistent, I want to play for a long time, I want something that's going to duplicate under pressure, okay, that's another movement pattern.
Yeah.
And we keep getting these two patterns confused where, well, I want to hit it like the long drive guys, but I want to be consistent and I don't want to get hurt doing it. Well, time out. No, we got to decide what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Now, some of those things play into a full swing, some of those concepts, but what are you really trying to do? What is your real focus? Once you decide what your focus is, then I can tell you, here's what you need to do to have fun with what your focus is.
Yeah.
But let's define your game first.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Really appreciate you sticking that video out. I know that a lot of it was just of Mike's back, but at least you could hear it well. And I think that is probably one of the most important things, to really be able to hear something clearly. I interviewed Mike all about the smash factor and creating more speed in the golf swing, and also Lee Dietrick, and I put together the smash factor. It's available at bebettergolf.net/premium. Check it out. It supports the channel, and it really concentrates on how do I really hit the ball on the button a lot more often and get the most speed out of what I have. Check it out. It's called the Smash Factor, bebettergolf.net/premium. See you later.